front cover of my book, I want to show you one of my favourite techniques with graphic 45 paper, which is to use the border. Now, I've already cut some things out of the centre of this piece of paper, but just so you can see, this originally was this piece of paper, which is the Jasmine Dream. I'll show you that way. And I'm using this design for my front page. In fact, I've already cut that out and mounted it, and I want to put it on a backdrop of that border, but obviously it's too big for my book. So this is one of my, as I say, it's one of my favourite techniques in graphic 45, and that is to cut down the border page. Now, what I would do with this is I would start by cutting not a straight line, but cutting along the line of a motif like that. And on this side, I think I would use this bit here. Okay, so I would cut that. What that enables me to do is it enables me to keep this corner piece, and that's what I want to do in all four corners. So I'm going to stick this on. Okay, so then in this top corner, I then want a piece that's going to overlap, and in fact I'm going to choose this flower to cut round, which means I'm going to have quite a bit of overlapping paper, but that doesn't really matter because any that's left is just going to be wasted. So, and then in the top, I'm just going to cut it random here. Okay, and I'm just going to tidy up my trimming on the inside of that border, although it's probably not going to show once my front cover design is on. So again, cover that with tape or glue. Works just as well if you use wet glue. And you're not even really looking to match any sort of design because it's not going to match. But if you look where I've joined it, because it's a whole flower, it almost looks like there's a flower on top of a flower. So actually, it doesn't really matter that it's not part of the same design. Then on this corner, okay, this time I think I might use just this design here. Again, it's one of the flowers, so it's going to look like my flowers just being layered on top. And then I think what we'll do is we'll cut around, we'll just cut it above the bird so I can use the bird later. I'm going to stick this on. And just match that there. Make sure I've got it to the edge of the book. And finally that bottom corner, I'd really quite like to keep that bird, so I'm going to just cut around the top of that bird, and I think here we'll cut around this flower here. So I'm going to cut right around that bird. Since this is Birdsong, it seems like a good idea to keep the birds. And finally I'm going to stick this on. So there we go, we've now got a new border, and although I can see where the joins are because I made the joins, so it's easy for me to see, but it's not obvious when you look at it at first glance, and especially it won't be when I then put my cover piece on top. which I've mounted onto black paper or black cardstock, just because I thought it could use sort of a black line to help it sort of pop out. Okay, here's my tutorial on how to make the flowers for the front of my Birdsong book, and for this I used this paper, which is the cherry blossom paper. It has that on the other side, but I'm using the pink side for my flowers, and I'm using 2 punches. They're both Stampin' Up punches. This one is 1 3/4 inches, and this one is the 2 3/8 inches. And what you want to do is, for the large flower, you want to punch out 3 of the large 2 3/8 flowers and 4 of the smaller ones, actually scallop circle punches. What you then need to do is on each one just snip in about 1/2 centimetre, I guess, just a small way in, just to release, to make them look more like petals. Okay, now that all my my flowers have been trimmed, what I'm going to do is I'm going to soak them. I'm going to, just for each one, just dip it into the water, just plain water, and just get rid of the excess. And then what I'm going to do to each one is just between my fingers, just crumple it up completely so that it's into a tiny ball like that. Then before it has a chance to dry, I'm just going to really carefully and gently open it back out again. This is where if you try and rush this, you can end up pulling off petals or tearing your flower. So it's worth taking a bit of time over this step, and then you're left with a really good raggy flower, which is what you want. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the others now. Okay, so that's my flower, each petal made. I did have one little casualty there, but not to worry, it's not too bad. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack these up and just put them one inside the other. And I might leave that one for the centre because that looks quite ruggy. And what I'm going to do, just going to put a little bit of water in the middle. And I'm going to put just a pen, and I'm just going to squeeze them round that pen. And now I just need to leave that to dry. Once it's dry, I can then pull it apart very gently, put some layers of glue in between, and then it'll stay together. Okay, so I've come to the other side of the camera now to show you my completed book with the chopsticks in alternate directions down the spine, and my front cover with my flowers. I've cut out some of the Chinese lanterns. I've cut out one of the parasols. If I turn it sideways, you can see the dimension. My camera will focus that close. Then, opening up the book, my plan will be to add some photos here, probably mounted onto black. I've got space here for some journaling, and all the way through the book I've added these Chinese lanterns, which I've cut out from the paper which is covered in Chinese lanterns, and they've been added with foam dots so that they stand out. The next page, quite a simple page. I've got ready here a photo mount, the bird that I've cut out, all the lanterns. On the next page here, these corners were cut out using a Sizzlitz die called Architectural Corners. I also left two of my pages here open at the top, and I've made a little tag that slips in there so that if I want extra space for photos or journaling, that can go in there. This is the next page, more lanterns, space for journaling, space here I can put photo. Another page, again, more lanterns. And then finally the back page, I've got a panel that I've cut out from the paper, and again some 3D lanterns there. So that was my Birdsong book. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and have a go at the book.